A very good morning to you. How you're doing, and welcome to another exciting episode of Inspiration Monday. And this is the Everyday Woman, and I'm your host Mwikali. Now, today is an exciting day because I have three amazing women who have amazing fasts that we're going to be sharing on this show, and they are all about sports. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Where are the guys? But you know what? It's about time we brought women who are doing amazing things, changing the game in the sports world. See what I did there? Changing the game in the sports world? Yeah? Great. 5 years later, but they're not that slow. They are not. They are not. They are not. So starting from the far end, we have Kanyali Ilako. She is a sports and performance psychologist. I got that right, yes. Cynthia Mumbo, who's the CEO of Sports Connect Africa. And we have Sylvia Kamau, the CEO Kenya Rugby Union. Karibuni to the Everyday Woman. This is all about women empowerment, and I love that. Talking to you separately, there's something that comes out. Sports is not just sports, and I love that you all participated in the different or various sports that you're going to be talking about here today. We have two basketballers here and a swimmer. Yes, so I also played basketball at some point in my life, and I'll be talking about that in a short while. But you all mentioned business and in all this, and because I did the sort of like an overall introduction, I'd like each one of you to talk about themselves and some of the highlights that you've done before we delve into the beautiful, the ugly, the dirty, the challenges, and all of that about women in sports. And that's your camera. I can start with you, Sylvia.
My name is Sylvia Kamau. I'm the CEO of Kenya Rugby Union. I've been in sports for a while now, since the last I can remember in high school. I've been a player, I've been a coach, and now I'm an administrator in the same in sports. Yes, sports is difficult, but like you said, sports is a business, and I think sports is business, it's administration, it's management, it's all that put together. It's not just going to the field and running after a ball or jumping into a pool and swimming.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Mumbo. Founder and CEO of Sports Connect Africa. We're all about connecting, inspiring, and empowering sports stakeholders to understand the commercial engagement and commercial value of sports. Right.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kanyali Ilako. I am, like she said, sport and performance psychologist. However, my journey with sports started, when I was in primary school. I swam my first international gala, I think in class 5.
What?
And then, yes, and then continued swimming for about maybe 10 to 13 years after. And then after that, now got into the other side of sport, which is sport and performance psychology. So on top of that, I also did a bit of coaching, a bit of swimming coaching. And then just recently, I'm an intellectual impairment classifier. Maybe we'll go into that a bit later.
What is that? No, we're not going later. We're not going there later, we're going there now. What is that?
So basically what an intellectual impairment classifier is, the idea of classification is to give paraplegic athletes the same opportunities as able-bodied athletes. So what happens is you get a group of athletes who need to be grouped in different categories so that there's fair play. Yeah, so for example, like with physical impairment, you would probably classify like somebody with maybe like an amputee of no arm and no leg maybe can't compete in the same event. So now that's what I do now for intellectual impairment. Yes. So people with
And the first.
impairment.
She's a first.
She's a first, yes. And she's not saying it. We agreed.
Yes,
So I told her she's
yes.
a first, and she was like,
First
no,
is-
wait. See, I'm a trainee. I need to go. I'm like, do we have a trainee here?
Okay, first in Kenya, first I think in Africa.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. And I told you guys we have so many fasts here today. And Cynthia, you have a fast as well.
Yes. So, just looking back at the things that we've been able to do. So, my company, Sports Connect Africa, we have a running contract with the NBA, and that's pretty much a fast as well.
Yes, it is.
And we run junior NBA programs. We hold networking forums for sports business. We're literally really about empowering and connecting sports stakeholders. And so last year I was very privileged to be the first African woman to be awarded top 30 under 40 leaders in sports business. And business is very critical there to
Yeah.
understand. So leaders in sports business, and that has really, opened up the way for me in terms of just one, understanding what opportunities are there, but two, opening up Africa to the potential that is out there from the world.
Sylvia, you have a first. Actually, several.
Several firsts.
Several
We
firsts.
follow in her footsteps.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a couple of firsts. Maybe my first is was the first national team female coach basketball,
Yes.
and I got my first international trophy in 2013. An exciting moment. I was also the first highest certified female basketball coach woman in East Africa.
Yes.
As the first, and
Wow.
as the first CEO in Kenya Rugby, we had a lady before that, but she was the general manager. So I'm the first CEO of Kenya Rugby.
First CEO female CEO. No, she's modest. Let's do this.
Say it.
First female CEO in African rugby. That's
My goodness.
huge.
That is huge. That is. You two have a history.
Yes.
What is Storms? I had you guys talk about Storms earlier.
Sprite Storms.
Yeah.
So I'm 2 years younger than Sly, and I'm being kind here. I've played basketball all my life. It's so if you talk about the sport that I love, it's basketball. And I was very privileged to play with her when she was still at Sprite Storms. The team was previously Barclays.
Yes.
And I joined her there. I remember the first day. She might not say I ran. They said you're not going anywhere. But yeah, very, very privileged to have played, and clearly it rubbed off. The work ethic and the things that they do, clearly rubbed off. So I can't say how grateful I am to have met her and worked with her, and hopefully we'll continue working with her into the future.
Let's talk about the stereotypes when you think about sports and women, some of the things that you've had to deal with, some of the things that you've had to break and try and show people that, you know what, sawa mnasemanga, but this is what's up. Some of the stereotypes that you've had to deal with in terms of being women in sports.
Can I start? So I had this amazing experience. I was team manager for the national team, the All Africa Games, and also managed to take the men's national team. At that time I was working at Menengai as head of marketing, Menengai Oil Refineries, and I took the national team to South Africa for a tournament, the Four Nations. It was fascinating. So I am head of delegation, which means me and head of delegation of Nigeria, who is this guy who's like 60, and on average the 4 countries, everyone had an average age of about 55, 60.
Yeah.
And I was 34 or 33, and I remember every other time people would walk past me until the guy who's running the tournament would be like, guys,
Yeah.
she is the one leading Kenya. And I remember going for an interview, and they're like, so how are you head of delegation? One, you're a girl. One, you're a girl. Two, you are young. I said, what does that have to do with my brains and my abilities? I mean, and it's a challenge that I face, and I have faced every other space that I've gotten into. Even, just me running a business as a lady, running a business in sport, it's always, what do you know? But then there's also a lot of respect that has come with it because of the consistency.
Okay.
But the challenge is, what do you know? What do you know?
And just because you're a woman.
Right.
I can definitely.
Okay, sorry.
I think I can definitely relate with Cynthia's point on that about the challenges of working in a predominantly male-dominated field.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like for me now, what tends to happen is, so one, sports and performance psychology is not, again, yes, I'm the first, the pioneer of it in the country. So it's a lot of me having to explain what it is first before seeking now the business. So what happens is, like, you'll walk into a room and then people are just like, okay, what's she coming to tell us? Like, she's female, she's young, she hasn't been in this industry as long as we have, I guess. Because then, I deal with a lot of, well, I work a lot with athletes, but also with the coaches. So a lot of coaches are usually male and older, slightly, like maybe 50 and above.
Slightly?
Way older.
I feel like your folks.
Exactly, way older. So like you'll walk into a room and then it's just like it's almost like you have to fight for your space. Get yourself, yes, I guess.
Or just smell your way.
just-
Like, I don't want to be too loud about it,
Yeah.
so I'll just be here saying, swimmer.
One of the things you get is you're told, you need to cool your tone down. Which
Tone? What tone?
I don't know what
Like
tone.
saying I'm
Doremi,
CEO.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I think the greatest stereotype I face is that women are seen as incapable of, just managing their emotions. So whenever
Yeah.
you're in probably a board meeting and you maybe raise your voice or just say something, express something, it is always attached. It has an attachment.
emotional,
You can't just
right.
express yourself
Yeah.
without being seen like you're a woman, you're not objective. The tag objectivity and women has a lot of things going on with it. So you find sometimes they'll think you're too emotional. We also carry this stereotype.
Oh
that
boy,
women
you're
can't
too
make
emotional.
tough decisions. Or
Yeah.
You can't make you can't take hardlining decisions. So I feel that for me is what has been the biggest stereotype. When you walk in and someone immediately looks at you and thinks, you're young, you're a woman, you can't make a tough decision.
And
How do we?
and they actually, you're walking with guys in your team and whatever, and they literally start talking to the guys. It's literal. How do you do it?
Yeah, I know. how do you get yourself out of that space, or how do you create or command or get your position in that setting? So you walk in and there's already this thing going on. It's been there before you got here, and now you're here, and you're not going to stop about it. So you try find your space in. How do you do that? I see you're itching to say something,
Yeah,
Ilako.
but I think as Cynthia was stating, like, it's
Yeah.
just about consistency.
Okay.
Like, there's nothing we can do about it. All we can do now is that we've been given this platform to be able to raise awareness for the females that will come,
After
after us. So we have this platform, and we just have to keep being consistent, and eventually they'll be like, okay, these women are not going anywhere.
No, they're
They're
not.
here to stay, so we
Yeah.
might as well, give them we have to listen to them. So I think it's just about just
Being consistent.
being consistent about your intentions.
And I love that the fact that you ladies are actually leading this from the forefront, and we always find that we get inspirations from different things. We get influences from different people. And I don't know if there was anyone before you guys to just say, like, you know what, girls, I got you. Walk with me. I will lead the way. It's you leading the way now. What influences anyone, women in this business, all over the world, anyone?
Well, not necessarily from the sports world as much as, I look up to ladies like Sylvia and ladies like Auma Obama, who's doing stuff around sport. They are there, but we're so far between. So half of the time you find us calling each other like, hey Sylvia, what's up? There's this tough situation, what do you think? Or, call Kanyali. Once in a while, you will hold a conference for women, just so that you women who are in the same kind of space come together. But ultimately, it's about you and your character.
Okay.
You get in there, you sit, you get your seat on that table. It doesn't matter who says what, because you know that you deserve to be there.
Absolutely.
And it's not about proving your point, because your point will be proven anyway. You just do what you have to do. That for me is it. You just do what you have to do. Assert yourself.
Be that loud.
And be called aggressive, because guys sit and they're not called. Guys sit and they're called assertive. You assert and you're called aggressive. Yeah, and take it in.
There's something about sport, and that's what we were talking about earlier, how we're putting sports and not just sports and bringing the aspect of business to it. And that is what majorly you're doing. And you're telling me as CEO, Miriam, about the business. Yes, it's Kenya Rugby Union. Yes, we're playing, but then it is a business. We need to make money. We need to keep these players playing. They need to be in the field. They need to travel the world and showcase what it is that they're being trained here. So some of the things that we're doing as a country is right, before we get to the raw, as a country, to promote sports as a business. What are some of those things?
Sports is just like the normal office work, people tend to imagine when you hear talk about sports, people just see the field.
Yeah.
The first picture that comes to someone's
We
mind.
actually do not see the back of it.
Yes.
No.
Not
We
the
don't.
back of
We don't even realize that there's a backup.
No.
For any sport to excel, there's sports marketing, there's sports management, there's the technical bit of it. And all these things, like we said, are the ones that make the business grow. For example, like Kenya Rugby. Rugby is a brand. Wherever you want to go, it's a brand.
Yeah.
Under that brand, we have different products, the shujas, the ladies, and all that. All those things need to be packaged and presented well. All those products need to be managed. So it's not about whether I was the best player in rugby or I was the best. You sometimes might find the best player in a sport might not necessarily translate into the best manager of that sport.
What are we doing about bringing more women onto this platform, enlightening them, walking them with this journey? Because I think you're the people who will be doing this. You're the pioneers for this. So what are we doing in terms of that?
If I can start, I've been in the sports area circle rather the last 10 years. Sports connected with academics. First things first, I think all sportsmen must go to school. We have this it's what? It's
Mentality?
a myth. It's a myth that yes, sports does elevate you into stardom. Actually, you can run today, break the record, and tomorrow you're a superstar. You'll be all over the papers everywhere. Everyone will know you. But we need to connect sports and education. And for me, those are some of the things that I've been doing the last 10 years. I encourage all the sports women, the girls, especially women, that they must get an education. Because for you to get into some of these spaces, you need your education. If you look at it, for example, like the NBA in America, you can't be drafted into the NBA if you haven't been to college.
I think there's only 2 or 3 people that have been drafted directly, and LeBron James is one of them.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it tells you that first and foremost, you must have an education. Because as we speak, we say sports is a business. Yeah. Sports is also a profession, it's a career. It must be managed, it is managed in the higher sports market. It's managed like a proper career. So if you do not have a basis of education, you might fall off the way. And especially if you're a player, you can be a good player, but a player has a shelf life. Yeah. So what happens after the shelf life? You need to go into administration, you need to go into coaching, that's the technical aspect of it. You need to go into the sports marketing. There's so many other areas you can do. And that's where now different skills support you as a person. So yes, sports is a profession and sports is a career, and we can actually grow it as we go along.
So get an education. That is what Sylvia says simply.
Right. So my life's purpose is to connect, inspire, and empower, and change lives through sports. So what we do at Sports Connect Africa, every year we plan a Women in Sports conference. We had a first one last year. We will be having another one this year. Actually 22nd of this month. We're in February already, right?
Yes, we are.
I'll be in Kampala sitting on a conference for women in sport. So for me, it's really about putting myself out there and getting heard, getting women to listen, and being open to mentorships and partnerships and discussions around what can we do, how can we impact women in sports. Mid this year, we're setting up a Sports with Values conference with our partners from Spain.
Sports with Values.
Yes.
I like that.
So it's a big challenge.
I like that.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah, because it is.
Right? It is a big challenge. So we'll have Sports with Values conference, and we are also in the process of setting up the first sports hub in Africa. So the idea is we want to be a space where that question you're asking can be answered consistently. Right.
We'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
That's why
I'm sharing it.
Live television.
So I'm sharing it so everyone will hold me to account.
Goodness, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All the best.
Thank you.
Great.
I think for me it starts with platforms like these, like being able to voice, being given the opportunity to be able to voice, being given the opportunity to meet amazing people in the industry. We are such few women in sport. The only way we can continue to excel in it is to come together, which is amazing. And also I think another thing I would state is that it just doesn't end, because for me, I started my career as an athlete, right? And then after that, it's there's very many athletes that that finish, like, well, rather they get to, like, they retire, I would say, from sport, and they still don't have the opportunities to find out that your career doesn't end here, you know. Like for me, yes, I stopped swimming, but I also came back as a coach, as a sports psychologist, now recently classifier. So there's so many opportunities. Like, you don't just have to be an athlete, you know, which is the conversation that is important.
We have success stories, and then we have other stories from, you know, people in the world of sports, and we have some really good ones. And then I want to talk about the not so good ones, where you play a sport, you're really good, you get the medals, you say you run one day, you win, bag millions, and then values come into play and they're not so good, and then you lose all of that. What happens to that? Is that the education that we need? What is that? How can we put that together? Well, let me just put it out there. I'm talking about Congestina. And I don't know what it is that happened exactly, but as a woman, I feel like probably there's something that we should have done, or we need to do now, or I don't know exactly. But, and looking at, I'm looking at corporations that, probably agencies that work with these people. Is it something that we can do to ensure that we put, or make sure that they do not go, or we don't lose them? Have I asked this question without really going?
Yes, so let me jump in. Let me jump in.
Teacher number one. Okay.
Because I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah.
It's my area of, for me, I'm very passionate. I was saying earlier, I run 100 meters in 13 seconds. Nobody really even knows that.
World class.
I could have been anything, but I didn't have the platform. There wasn't a structure that supported that. That whole discussion around values didn't exist. And sports is culturally not considered a business. And so if you are excellent and you fall into a space where your excellence is shown, lack of values, what happens? People misuse you. And so the athlete is not necessarily the issue, it is the hawks around that person. So if you don't have even one person who says, hey guys, hold on, it's about this athlete. This is the most critical person in this space that we're in. As long as you don't have that, then it doesn't matter what else is around. So it's a whole web of things that need to work. And I'm glad that we're here talking about it, because we are doing something, whether it is in a small scale or not. And the fact that we're speaking about it is also really important, so that people understand that if you're there and you're at home, you don't hit out at this athlete because we athletes, alikuwa tu anafanya hivi na hivi na hivi na hata, you know, because you don't understand that they work around a system. They work around, these guys, they are hawks. They are mafiti, as we call them. They will squeeze out of them, dump them. In fact, you can see that she's still being used. That when she has an issue and it goes really bad, somebody comes and throws her in the media and says we helped her and whatnot. But where's the genuine help, you know? And that's the problem that we have. That we have to really get back to our value system. It's a whole problem, not just with sport. It's the country. We have lost our sense of social values, and we need to get back to that, because that then goes back to everything. I always say, please, thank you, excuse me, and sorry. Very important words. If we're not teaching our kids that now, it translates to everything that we do in business. And that's the problem that we're having with our athletes as well.
Great. As we come to the end of this conversation, probably final words, last words, if you social media, so we can follow you and follow up for all the people who'd like to be mentored and follow your journeys. Final words into that camera. We're going to start with you, Sylvia.
Okay, like I said, my name is Sylvia. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Sylvia Kamau. Yes, and sports is a profession, sports is a career. You can make it in sports. It's a business. You can run it like any other. You can study for it. And there's a thing about sportsmen is that, you know, when you play a sport and you're in sport every day, sports always reminds you, it has that consistent reminder that you cannot fail. I mean, in sports you fail, you have to
you drop, you get back.
You drop, you get back. So I feel that it gives you the character that you need to do whatever it is you need to do in life. So especially to the parents out there, it's not just about being a nurse. My daughter must be a nurse, must be a doctor. No. You can actually make sports happen. Two ways: you can either be sport management or administration, or you can be an athlete. There are those athletes that have actually
Lived well.
and done well. If you look at the different athletes we have in Kenya, Paul said that we have Elliot Kipchoge, the guys who are outstanding. Closer home to rugby, we have Humphrey Kayange, who's done so well. So sports is actually a career, it's a profession, and should be handled with all the values and ethics that we talk about in any other profession.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Great. So you can find me practically everywhere on social media. I'm a social media freak. I'm on LinkedIn as Cynthia Mumbo, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. What I'm going to say is believe in yourself, focus on the outcome, and the journey is not short. Just recently we're seeing a lot of people being rewarded or whatever for stuff that they posted on social media. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the work. There are days you'll go hungry, guys. If you're getting into business, do not be cheated that you will have money every day or you will have everything that you need every day. As Sylvia has said, you will fall. Don't listen to the voices out there of human beings who will try to pull you down. As long as you trust your story, as long as you trust your outcome, as long as you trust your journey, get out there. And the most important thing is, trust God. If you believe in Him, trust Him, trust Him, trust Him, trust Him. Have faith. Your journey will come to pass, for sure.
Thank you. I know.
So yes, you can follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn, Kanyali Ilako. I also run a consultancy. I forgot to mention that earlier. Brain Freeze Consultancy. So that's brain, freeze, like FREEZ. So play on words there. So you can check out the website. I don't think I can, they've already said so much. So I mean, just to add on a little bit to what they said, just put in the work, you see results. That's just as easy as I can put it. So if you're really passionate about it, go for it. Because at the end of the day, luckily, we're living in an era where we can actually pursue every single dream and hope and aspiration that we have. So ride with it. Just do it. If you're into sports, get into it, meet the relevant people, have the conversations, open up the platforms, and just go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for coming on board today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You fast and you gave me fast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Great. I hope you guys learned something today. And we're going to be doing this every single Monday morning. It's called The Everyday Woman, and we're here to change those stereotypes. So we've got women in sports and they're doing an amazing job. And if you're waiting to see people who are angry, you like them. They're very jovial and happy people, and they're doing amazing things. And if you want to be part of this show, for any feedback, talk to us on social media. That's KTN Life Style on Facebook, KTN Life _style on Twitter and Instagram, on my personal page at my_Mikali or Mikali Mary on Instagram. It's been lovely. We're taking a very short commercial break, but we have Motivate and books and blogs coming up.